The roe deer, Capreolus capreolus, is one of Europe's most recognizable wild mammals, graceful, agile, and closely tied to the rhythm of woodland and farmland life. Though small compared to its relatives, it holds a prominent place in both ecology and culture across its broad range. Native to much of continental Europe and parts of Western Asia, this species thrives in diverse habitats. From the oak forests of France to the boreal woods of Scandinavia, through the Balkan hills and eastern steppes, it moves with ease between wild spaces and areas shaped by people. Forest edges, hedgerows and mixed farmland provide the ideal combination of shelter and open feeding grounds. Adult females, or does, typically weigh between 15 and 25 kilograms, while males, known as bucks, average 20 to 30. With their slender build and long legs, they stand just 60 to 75 centimeters tall at the shoulder. Their coats shift with the seasons, a warm reddish-brown in summer, fading to grey-brown in winter, offering excellent camouflage all year round. One of the most noticeable features is the bright white rump patch, which becomes especially visible when alarmed. The raised hairs serve as a warning signal to other deer. Bucks also grow short, upright antlers with up to 3 points per side. These are shed and regrown yearly, influenced by the animal's age, health and nutrition. Most active at dawn and dusk, roe deer use twilight hours to feed while avoiding predators and human disturbance. Their diet is that of a browser, not a grazer, meaning they select tender shoots, herbs, berries and leaves, rather than grazing on open pasture. This feeding style suits the mosaic of forest, field and edge habitat they prefer. Mating takes place during July and August. During this time, males patrol and mark territory with scent and antler rubs, sometimes chasing rivals or engaging in brief clashes. When courting a female, a buck will follow closely as she leads him in circular runs, a behavior known as the roe ring, which often leaves flattened trails through the grass or undergrowth. Fawns are born in May or June, weighing just 1 to 2 kilograms. Their dappled coats offer excellent concealment, and they spend their first weeks hidden in tall grass or thickets while the mother forages nearby. She returns periodically to nurse, keeping her distance to reduce the chances of attracting predators. By midsummer, the young are more active, shadowing their mother and learning to forage and move cautiously through the landscape. As they grow, they gradually adopt more independence, though family bonds often persist through their first year. Predators vary by region. Foxes, lynx, wolves and golden eagles are known to take fawns, especially in wilder areas. But in human-dominated landscapes, the primary dangers are different. Road collisions, agricultural machinery and habitat fragmentation pose the greatest threats. Population control through regulated hunting is practiced in many countries, both to limit agricultural damage and maintain ecological balance. The species also plays a central role in European hunting traditions and rural identity, frequently featured in folklore, literature and seasonal rituals. The red fox, Vulpes vulpes, is among the most widespread carnivores on the planet. Clever, versatile and instantly recognizable. With its fiery coat, pointed ears and bushy tail, it has become an icon of the wild, even in places far removed from wilderness. Its native range covers most of Europe, Asia and North Africa. It has also been introduced to Australia and parts of North America, where it quickly adapted and established itself, often controversially, as a dominant predator. From alpine meadows to suburban neighborhoods, the red fox thrives in habitats both natural and human-shaped. Adults typically weigh between 4 and 8 kilograms, with males slightly larger than females. Their build is slim and athletic, with long limbs and upright, sensitive ears. The trademark tail, often as long as the body, is used for balance while running, communication within families, and warmth when curled up to sleep. Coat colour can vary widely. Most are reddish-orange, but depending on genetics and location, individuals may appear pale gold, silver grey, black, or even in a cross pattern. Seasonal changes also affect the coat, with winter fur growing thicker and fluffier for insulation. While they belong to the order Carnivora, red foxes are true omnivores. Their diet is one of the keys to their success. They consume rodents, rabbits, birds, insects, earthworms, berries, fruit, eggs, fish, and carrion. In cities and farmlands, they adapt further, scavenging from garbage, pet food bowls, compost piles, or raiding crops like corn and grapes. Activity peaks at dawn and dusk. With sharp vision, an excellent sense of smell, and the ability to hear prey underground, they hunt with precision. Foxes often pause mid-step, listening closely before launching a surprise pounce, especially effective in snow or tall grass. Though often seen alone, their social lives are more complex than they appear. During breeding season, they form monogamous pairs, and may maintain these bonds across years. Dens are used to raise young, often dug by the foxes themselves or borrowed from other animals like badgers. Urban foxes den beneath sheds, sleep in overgrown gardens, and travel alleyways and railways with ease. Cities like London, Berlin, and Tokyo are home to growing fox populations, wild animals living in step with modern life. Health challenges are common, particularly in urban settings. Red foxes can carry diseases like rabies, though this has been largely controlled in many countries through vaccination programs. Sarcoptic mange, caused by mites, is another frequent affliction, often leading to fur loss and weakness. Their image in folklore reflects both admiration and caution. Across cultures they appear as tricksters, clever and elusive. From Japan's magical kitsune to medieval European fables, the fox is often portrayed as cunning and adaptable, a reputation rooted in real-life behavior. The European badger, Meles meles, is one of the most distinctive and familiar wild mammals in Europe. With its bold black and white facial stripes and sturdy build, it's an icon of the countryside, a mostly nocturnal animal that leaves more signs than sightings. Its range stretches across most of Europe and into parts of Western Asia, from the windswept coasts of Ireland to the Russian steppe. Preferred habitats include mixed woodlands, hedgerows, pastures, and sometimes even the outskirts of rural towns and villages. Anywhere with soft soil and cover can offer a home. Adult badgers typically weigh between 7 and 13 kilograms, though this can vary depending on region and season. Their compact bodies are built for strength, with short limbs, long claws and powerful shoulders made for digging. The fur is silver grey, and the striking mask-like face pattern is unmistakable. Their homes, known as setts, are elaborate underground tunnel systems carved into dry, stable soil. These structures often lie beneath tree roots or along gentle slopes and can include multiple entrances, sleeping chambers, latrines, and nesting areas. Some setts have been in use for generations and may stretch over 100 meters. Unlike many of their mustelid relatives, badgers are social. They live in family groups called clans, often made up of a dominant breeding pair and their offspring. The group shares a sett and maintains a collective territory, marked by scent glands and communal latrines used to deter intruders. Communication is subtle but constant, from scent marking and body language to an unexpected range of vocalizations. Grunts, growls, purrs and even yelps help maintain contact, coordinate behavior, or express alarm. Diet is broad and opportunistic, though one item stands out: earthworms. In moist climates, a single badger may eat hundreds in one night. They also feed on beetles, slugs, small mammals, bird eggs, fruit, grains, fungi and roots, switching seasonally depending on availability. Though they don't hibernate fully, badgers in colder regions reduce their activity during winter. In periods of snow or frost, they may stay underground for days or even weeks, relying on stored fat and a warmer microclimate within the set. Mating can occur at almost any time, but cubs are born in early spring thanks to delayed implantation, a trait shared with other mustelids. Litters typically include 2 to 4 cubs, born in February or March deep inside the set. For the first few months they remain hidden. In late spring the young begin to emerge, curious and full of energy, often seen play wrestling or exploring near the entrance under adult supervision. By autumn, they've grown nearly to full size and begin to learn the patterns of their home territory, where to forage, when to rest, and how to stay safe. While natural predators are rare, young cubs may fall victim to foxes or raptors. Adult badgers are more threatened by vehicles and human interference. In many regions, road traffic is the leading cause of death. Other pressures include habitat fragmentation, illegal poisoning, and culling programs, some of which are linked to ongoing efforts to control bovine tuberculosis, BTB, especially in the UK and Ireland. This link to BTB has made the badger a subject of controversy. Scientific studies continue to investigate the extent of transmission between badgers and cattle. Meanwhile, control measures range from culling in some areas to targeted vaccination in others, sparking debate among conservationists, farmers and policymakers. The pine marten, Marte, is one of Europe's most elusive and agile woodland predators. Sleek, intelligent and rarely seen, it belongs to the mustelid family, sharing ancestry with otters, badgers and weasels, yet lives a life all its own, high among the branches and shadows of the forest floor. This species is native to much of northern and central Europe. It favours mature woodlands rich in cover, tree cavities and dense undergrowth, especially broadleaf or mixed forests. While once widespread, habitat loss and persecution drastically reduced its range. In recent decades, however, it has begun to return to parts of the UK, Ireland, Scandinavia and Central Europe, thanks to legal protection and conservation efforts. About the size of a domestic cat, adults measure between 50 and 70 centimetres, including the tail, and weigh around 1 to 2 kilograms. Their bodies are long and slender, equipped with semi-retractable claws for climbing and balanced by a thick, bushy tail. Their chocolate-brown fur contrasts with a pale throat patch, often yellow or cream, that's unique to each individual. Though a skilled climber, the pine marten is equally comfortable on the ground. It moves with fluid grace through thick underbrush, leaping between branches or scaling trunks with ease. Mostly active at night or during twilight hours, it spends daylight resting in tree hollows, rock crevices, or abandoned squirrel drays, sometimes even in barns or lofts near forest edges. Its diet reflects its opportunistic nature. While small mammals such as voles, mice and squirrels make up a significant portion, it also consumes birds, eggs, insects, amphibians and carrion. In late summer and autumn, fruits and berries, especially bilberries and rowan, become important food sources. This seasonal flexibility helps the marten thrive across varied landscapes and shifting conditions. One of its most notable ecological impacts comes from its influence on invasive grey squirrel populations. In parts of the British Isles, the return of the pine marten has led to a decline in grey squirrels, allowing native squirrels to rebound. This appears to be due to behavioural differences. Reds, more agile in trees, are better at avoiding predation than their ground-foraging grey counterparts. Pine martens are solitary for most of the year. Each animal maintains a territory marked with scat and scent from anal glands, often placed on rocks, logs, or trail intersections. Territories may overlap slightly between males and females, but members of the same sex generally avoid each other. Vocalizations, from growls and hisses to high-pitched calls, become more frequent during the breeding season. The den, often tucked into a tree hollow, log pile, or rock crevice, provides a safe, sheltered space for birth and early development. A litter usually includes 1 to 5 kits, born blind and helpless. Over the first few weeks, they grow rapidly under the mother's care. Their eyes open at around 6 weeks, and by summer, they begin accompanying her on short trips to learn hunting and foraging skills. By autumn, young martens leave the natal territory to find homes of their own. They may travel long distances, crossing woodland, farmland, and occasionally open areas in search of suitable habitat and a place to settle. Predators are few. Eagles, foxes, and wildcats may target young kits, but adult martens face more danger from roads and human activity. Historically, hunting and trapping were the primary threats, driven by demand for their fur and fears about poultry predation. Today, while protected in many areas, habitat loss and traffic collisions remain serious risks. In forested and rural settings, martens tend to go unnoticed. However, near the edges of human settlements, they may den in attics, outbuildings, or wall cavities. Occasionally, they visit compost heaps or bird feeders. These visits are typically harmless, but in rare cases can lead to minor conflict, particularly where poultry is left unsecured. The European hare, Lepus europaeus, is built for the open. With long legs, keen senses, and explosive speed, it thrives in wide, exposed landscapes where survival depends on awareness and agility. Often mistaken for a rabbit, it tells a very different story, one of independence, silence, and swift escape. Native to much of Europe and parts of Western Asia, this species has also been introduced to distant places like Australia, New Zealand, and South America. Within its natural range, it favours grasslands, farmland, heath and steppe, habitats where its speed and alertness give it an advantage. Unlike rabbits, hares do not dig burrows. Instead, they rest in shallow ground hollows called forms, concealed by grass or crops, but fully exposed to the elements. Adults typically weigh between 3 and 6 kilograms. Both sexes are similar in size, with strong hind legs built for sprinting, long ears tipped in black, and wide-set eyes high on the head, offering nearly 360 degrees of vision. When alarmed, they often freeze briefly before launching into a zigzag run, confusing predators and vanishing into the distance at speeds up to 70 kilometers per hour. Most activity takes place during twilight or at night. In quiet regions, hares may also be seen by day, grazing on grasses, herbs, leaves and crops. They are herbivores with a wide diet, and in farmland areas they may feed on cereals and vegetables, sometimes drawing the ire of farmers, though they also help disperse seeds and shape plant communities. Solitary by nature, hares maintain individual territories and rarely interact outside of breeding season. In late winter and spring, this changes dramatically. Mating season, known as March Madness, brings visible displays of speed, chasing and boxing matches, often in open fields. These striking boxing bouts, once assumed to be between males, are usually initiated by females fending off overly persistent suitors. When mating occurs, the reproductive pace is fast. A single female can produce multiple litters in a season, each with 2 to 4 leverets born after a gestation of about 42 days. Unlike rabbits, whose young are born hairless and helpless, hare leverets arrive fully furred and alert. Within hours, they move to separate hiding spots near the birth site. The mother visits only briefly at night to nurse, a strategy that limits scent trails and reduces the risk of predators discovering the young. Within a few weeks, the leverets begin feeding on plants and quickly become independent. But survival is never guaranteed. Foxes, birds of prey, mustelids, and even domestic animals all pose threats, especially in the early weeks of life. Camouflage, vigilance, and speed are their only defenses. The adult hare, too, is always on alert. Its powerful senses, wide-angle vision and acute hearing allow it to detect movement or danger from afar. It relies not on confrontation but on escape and rarely makes a sound. Beyond its ecological role, the hare has deep roots in folklore and symbolism. Long associated with springtime, fertility and the moon, it appears in stories, myths and celebrations across Europe. The sight of hares boxing in a dewy field has inspired generations of writers, artists and naturalists. The mountain hare, Lepus timidus, is built for snow and silence. Found in uplands, tundra and boreal forests, it's a master of camouflage and endurance, a quiet survivor shaped by wind, altitude and the rhythm of the seasons. Its native range stretches across northern and central Eurasia, from the Baltic states and Scandinavia to the Alps, Siberia and the highlands of Scotland. These hares favour exposed, often harsh habitats, alpine meadows, moorland, Arctic tundra, places where few mammals flourish. More compact than the European hare, adults weigh between 2.5 and 4.5 kilograms and measure about 45 to 65 centimetres in length. Their shorter ears and stockier build help conserve body heat, a typical adaptation among cold climate species. One of their most striking traits is their seasonal coat. In summer, the fur is grey-brown with a pale underside, blending in with grasses and heather. But in winter, the transformation is dramatic. The coat turns white or mottled to match snow-covered landscapes, a powerful defense against predators. That camouflage is critical in avoiding detection from golden eagles, foxes, stoats and lynx, and in parts of Asia, even wolves and snow leopards. But as snow cover becomes less predictable due to climate change, that once perfect disguise can now become a risk. Unlike rabbits, mountain hares do not dig burrows or form social groups. They are solitary creatures resting in simple ground depressions known as forms. Hidden among rocks or heather, they rely on stillness and colour to stay unseen. When danger approaches, a hare will often remain frozen until the last possible moment, then erupt into a zigzag sprint, using speed and unpredictability to escape. Their agility and powerful hind legs make them difficult to catch once they take off. These hares remain active all year. They don't hibernate even in deep winter. Most movement happens at night or in twilight when they emerge to forage. Their diet is entirely plant-based, including grasses, herbs and shrubs in summer, and bark, twigs and woody plants in winter. Their digestive system is adapted to this fibrous diet. Like other lagomorphs, they practice coprophagy, re-ingesting soft fecal pellets to extract more nutrients, especially important during lean months. Breeding begins early, often as soon as February. Males or bucks seek out females and compete for mating rights through chasing and boxing, sometimes accompanied by vocal grunts or squeaks. Gestation lasts about 50 days. Each female, or doe, may produce up to 3 litters per year, typically with 2 to 4 young, called leverets, per litter. The young are born fully furred, with eyes open, and are ready to hide and stay still from day one. To reduce predation, the mother places each leveret in a separate hiding spot. She visits only briefly to nurse, keeping scent and movement to a minimum. By a few weeks of age, the young begin to explore and quickly grow independent. Population health varies by region. In Scandinavia and Russia, mountain hares remain relatively stable, but in the British Isles, especially Scotland, numbers have dropped in recent decades, raising concern among conservationists. Drivers of decline include habitat degradation, climate shifts, changing predator dynamics, and human activity. On some estates managed for grouse shooting, mountain hares have been culled due to concerns about tick-borne diseases affecting game birds. This culling has sparked ongoing debate. While some land managers argue it's necessary for disease control, others see it as ecologically damaging and unnecessary. Public pressure and scientific research have led to greater protections in some areas, including seasonal bans and population surveys. Ecologically, mountain hares are a key part of their environment. As grazers, they shape plant communities, and as prey, they support predators from stoats to golden eagles. Their behavior and population trends also act as indicators of upland ecosystem health. The red squirrel, Squirrel vulgaris, is one of Europe's most iconic and cherished forest dwellers. With its russet coat, tufted ears and bushy tail, it brings life to woodlands, parks and gardens, a symbol of agility, curiosity and quiet persistence. Native to Eurasia, its range extends from the British Isles and Scandinavia through much of continental Europe and deep into Russia and northern Asia. It thrives in coniferous and mixed forests, but is also found in broadleaf woodlands and tree-rich urban areas. Small and tree-dwelling, red squirrels typically weigh between 250 and 350 grams. Their fur can range from deep red to greyish-brown, depending on region and season, but they're instantly recognized by their distinctive ear tufts and long, expressive tail. That tail serves many purposes, providing balance while climbing, insulation while resting, and a visual signal in communication. In the treetops, they leap with speed and precision, gripping bark with sharp claws and using their tail like a rudder mid-air. Most activity occurs during daylight, especially early morning and late afternoon. Red squirrels feed on a variety of plant-based foods, including pine and spruce seeds, hazelnuts, beech nuts, acorns, berries, fungi and young shoots. Occasionally, they'll also consume insects or bird eggs, but vegetation dominates their diet. One of their most vital behaviors is caching. During autumn, they collect and hide seeds and nuts in small, scattered stashes. These caches are their winter reserves. Some are remembered and recovered, others forgotten, left to sprout as future trees. Unlike true hibernators, red squirrels stay active through the winter. However, they slow down significantly and may remain sheltered during storms or cold snaps. Their nests, known as drays, are built high in branches or tucked into tree hollows, warm bundles of moss, bark and leaves. Though not aggressive, red squirrels are solitary. Each individual holds a home range, avoiding others outside the breeding season. They communicate through high-pitched calls, tail flicks and scent markings, quiet signals that maintain space and reduce conflict. Despite their adaptability, red squirrels face mounting challenges. Habitat loss, road mortality and especially competition from invasive grey squirrels have led to population declines in parts of their range, notably in the UK and northern Italy. In countries where grey squirrels are absent, red squirrel populations remain more stable. Legal protection exists in many parts of Europe, and conservation groups continue to prioritise their habitat and well-being.